Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chevy and GMC podcast. I'm your host, Luciano, and I'm here with Pete Gordon, also known as AZ Native ZR2, I believe is how it is.
Yes,
Hey, how's it going, Pete?
I'm doing well,
Um,
Stephen. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your truck.
All right. Well, as the Instagram handle notes, I'm an Arizona native, born and raised in Arizona. Lived here all my life. I saw a short stint with the Forest Service in Alabama, but otherwise grew up here and my entire career in Arizona. I'm retired from the U.S. Forest Service. I retired specifically out of the Prescott National Forest here in Arizona as a fire chief after 30 years. Started as a hot shot, worked my way through helitack crew and engine crew, and then back to hot shot, and then eventually worked my way up the chain from assistant or division chief, battalion chiefs to fire chief. And I'm still active even in retirement. I work as a temporary employee over at the Prescott Air Tanker Base just for a few months every summer. I call it my fun money. It's how I get to do
Nice.
things to the truck.
That's awesome. I mean, honestly, yeah, that's actually something I've wanted to look into myself personally, working for like a forest service. Yeah, because I mean, just the idea of just being able to be out there instead of working a regular 9 to 5.
I work for the U.S. Forest Service,
Yes.
and my title was fire chief when I retired, but I started as a hot shot.
Hmm.
The ranger is very specific to either someone who does law enforcement for the Park Service,
Oh, okay, okay.
or someone that is in charge of a whole district in the Forest Service. They'll call them the district ranger.
Ah, got it, got it. Okay. Yeah, I remember you said that I think, what is it, once a month or for like a month or so. That's how you make your play money for your vehicle.
Yeah. So after I retired in 2019, and immediately the summer of 2020, I went back to work as what they call an emergency hire for just a few months each year.
Nice.
2 to 3 months, I work at the air tanker base, and I call that my fun money.
Hmm. That's always good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, that's pretty awesome. And so, like, which particular year do you have for your Chevy?
Mine is a 2019.
Okay, Silverado or Colorado?
It's a Colorado ZR2.
Oh, okay.
And specifically, I got it with the 2.8 liter diesel. And of course, they don't put that in the Colorados anymore, but it's a great little engine.
Oh,
It's
nice.
been a great platform to work from, and I love the way it performs.
Oh, nice. That's not bad. I think it's a turbo diesel, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I believe one of my buddies, he has one of those.
Yeah.
We pick on him, but that's just because he doesn't like to go and play in the dirt.
Oh, well, gosh. We'll have to work on him.
We're working on it. Me and Silverback, we've been working on him for a while.
Excellent. Excellent.
So what were some of like your first mods that you actually did for your Colorado?
Well, I'll tell you. So the very first thing I did, even before the lift kit, kind of a funny little story. Um, the truck was completely stock for its first year and a half, about.
Mm-hmm.
And we were out hunting, and very impressed with the ZR2 right off the factory showroom. It's quite a capable setup with those DSSV shocks and the front and rear lockers. And so we were out hunting. It was a few weeks of hunting and getting on some 2-track roads and even some old worn out roads. And I found after a couple days, as we were doing a few drainage crossings, I was smashing the crap out of the tailpipe. The ZR2 was fairly good clearance as a stock vehicle, but the
Mm-hmm.
diesel muffler, or excuse me, the diesel tailpipe hung below the rear quarter panel. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 inches, and it was 4 inches in diameter. And there were a couple of occasions on that hunt trip where I had to get a pry bar out and open up the tip of the tailpipe
Oh,
so I
wow.
wouldn't get any unusual back pressure. So
Wow.
the very first mod was to put in what they call the high tuck exhaust from AFE.
Okay.
And it's so simple from behind the oh gosh darn it, the exhaust filter, the diesel exhaust
Hmm.
filter. It just bolted on right there from their back, and so it was an easy mod. But shortly thereafter was the BDS lift kit and tires, wheels, is where that began.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Now, with the diesel exhaust, that's different than regular exhaust, or
Yeah, I'm sure most of your listeners probably know that with all the modern diesel vehicles, there's the DPF. That's what I was thinking of earlier, trying to think of the
hmm,
diesel particulate filter. You've got to add the DEF, the fluid,
yep.
and it's all part of our emissions control. So my tailpipe was a little bit bigger diameter than the gas engine, the V6 engine.
Hmm.
I couldn't tell you for sure whether mine hung any lower than the gas engines, but it sure seemed like it did. It was an easy target for any departure angles that were of
Oh yeah.
significance. So yeah.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. But I should probably ask this for those who are actually new with specifically with the diesel versions. How often do you actually have to put blue def or def into the vehicle?
Well, starting backwards, I no longer have to put any in, and we'll just leave it at that. The vehicle's been slightly modified, um, and I live in a part of Arizona where, of course, now I'm going public, aren't I? Anyway, we'll just say it's modified. But ordinarily, it just varied really on driving, whether if it was all efficient highway driving or if, the truck, my particular truck, I'm admittedly a little overgrossed. I carry a lot of tools, as most of us do, right? All the recovery gear
Yep.
and tools and spare parts, and then ice chest and emergency stuff. So I'm fairly heavy anyway, but the
Hmm.
DEF fluid, at least I'm not aware of any real regular interval. But
Okay.
I would say, I could easily get 600 to 1,000 miles out of a full tank. I never let it drain all the way to bottom where it would give me a warning. Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
but generally speaking, I'd say every 500 to 800 miles, I'd notice I was about 50% left in the fluid tank. But
Okay. Nice.
that's no longer a concern.
Nice. We'll leave it at that. That's always a good way.
Yeah.
No, I was always curious because it's like I drive a Isuzu flatbed and I have to put blue def like every 2 weeks in that thing.
Yeah. How many miles do you think you're driving in 2 week period?
Oof. I travel between our facility in Tucson to places in Los Angeles and all that. So I want to say we put about on a weekly basis 2 to 500 miles a week
Okay.
on that truck. So we do good put a good chunk amount, and then not to mention that we had a load of material, or it's loading material, unloading material, all of that.
Okay. You said you're putting about a box in every 2 weeks, or what, like 2 gallons?
I'd say once I see I'm kind of the same way. Once I start seeing it get like to that halfway point, I'm kind of like, all right, let me go fill it up, just because I don't ever want to get to a point where it's emptied and we get stuck. I've had it happen once and never again.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. You don't want to be in that position where it puts the slowdown on you.
Yeah. But no, yeah. I mean, that stays as a flatbed for work stuff. Uh, Now, I guess what I would say is one of your personal favorite mods that you've done to your rig so far,
Well,
of all the ones you've done.
that's a good question. I probably should have thought ahead that you might ask for that. I'll probably end up going through most of them here, trying to tell you which one's my favorite.
Oh, let's go with the top three.
All right. I'd say of the top three, and the one I probably bragged about, and I'd seem to chime in, when I see folks on Instagram going after aftermarket shocks
Uh-huh.
again, those DSSV shocks that come stock on the ZR2.
Yeah.
They're pretty good quality. Chevy knew what they were doing based on the race performance, but my experience has been they were just not built for anything over stock weight. And I blew through 4 of them and bent one pretty severely up front. So my favorite mod, probably top of the list, is going to ADS, aftermarket shocks. And particularly because my experience was, they're out of Tucson, Arizona, which is just a few hours away from me. So I picked up the phone, followed up with a few emails, and then literally went down to their shop in Tucson and met with a guy named Tyler. If anybody's looking to talk to ADS, ask for Tyler. And they built me my shocks specifically for the weight of the vehicle, the style of driving I'm doing. And I specifically wanted to, I think I said earlier, one of the first mods was that BDS 4-inch lift kit. And part of that kit is a front strut spacer for both sides. It's just a big 4-inch round cylinder welded to fit between the top of the shock coil mount and the bell housing. And I wanted to remove that. I wanted the full travel. I wanted a single attachment point from the top of the bell housing down to the lower control arm. And so that's what they did. They built me a brand new shock or front strut with the coils. And then, of course, the rear were custom as well. And with that, I got to do a couple custom colors. I mean, folks if they're not familiar with my vehicle, I have a lot of purple accents and purple powder coating all over that truck. And that's part of my tribute to the fallen wildland firefighters. And so while I was at it, I had ADS. We did the coils or powder coated purple. The shock bodies, they did a Cerakote black, but the reservoirs are purple powder coated as well. So that's my number one favorite mod, probably. What else?
And they're serviceable too, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. Yep. Nice. Rebuildable, serviceable. I would recommend. That's the way to go. A lot of folks are doing King shocks or Radflow, and I believe they're all. I know Kings are, and I'm pretty sure Radflow. They're all serviceable. And
Radflow is who I'm looking at right now.
Okay.
For my Silverado.
Excellent. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't suggest at least taking a good hard look at ADS. I put them on my full size as well. I have that full size Overlander. It's a Chevy 1-ton, and I had them do the same. I went down there with the vehicle, specific to the weight and the style driving and the heavy load with the Overland package. I've got 2 sets of ADS shocks, and I love them.
Awesome. I'll definitely have to take a look at them for sure.
Yeah. Gosh, my recent mods, I kind of gave away the secret there that I don't have to worry about diesel exhaust fluid. And with that, I did a diesel tune package. And that has made a world of difference. I did that this winter or just a few months back. And then just ahead of that, I also changed gears to 456. And I'd say that whole combination of kind of freeing up a little hidden horsepower has been great, and the gear package seems to be a good combination, obviously. And most folks know this for the larger tires. So that's high on my list. And then, gosh, I like them all. I've got I did the twin compressor, the ARV compressor. I did a hard mount under the hood. 589 out of Michigan, I think they are. They make a nice couple of mounts, and I did the one that goes under the radiator fluid reservoir. Place down there for the Chevy Colorados. There's a nice location to mount underneath that reservoir, and I did that, and I plumbed some hose line up to the front with a chuck, an air chuck, and that's been a great mod because before that it was a single Viair compressor, and 45 minutes later I'd have all 4 tires. And now it's an easy deflate and inflate, so it's all good. Yep, there's the dogs. I knew that was coming.
It's all good. No, I'm right now currently still running a Morphlate system. I actually used a Ryobi tire inflator, and that take 45 minutes. Let's just say it's about an hour to get. If I had, like, let's say 35 to 30 cents, it probably would have taken me an hour. But I've never gone. When I had my Colorado, I never went lower than 20. The only time I went lower than that was Big Bear in the snow. That's when I went like 17.
Sorry, I'm closing my door. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I apologize there. If you if you want to edit that out or start over, you were telling me about your deflate. You didn't go below 20 on your blood pressure.
Yeah, so my Colorado at the time with the Ryobi, just because I knew how long it would take me, I wouldn't go lower than 20. And again, I do a lot of two-wheel drive friendly roads, and most of my trucks right now are still two-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
But like my goal is pre-runner style, or slight pre-runner with a mix of overlanding for my Silverado.
Okay.
My Colorado was actually totaled, so I was like,
oh, that's right.
That's fine. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I actually got my dream truck, so I'm very content and very happy with that.
Nice.
And now I'm just slowly working on this one. I've been hesitant on pulling any like large purchases right now, just because I'm still kind of tossed up on what exactly I want to add to the truck. Definitely, obviously, my biggest purchase will be my suspension once I'm ready for that.
Excellent.
That's like my highest thing.
Sure. Well, and that's always a good starting point is gaining clearance and travel for the right size tires, and you can go from there.
Yeah. But always, my two biggest things that I always do right away were actually added some ditch lights and did the tires, just because street tires are not meant to be out there.
Sure. For sure.
So I think have you traveled all across like the states and gone to different locations, or you mostly stayed Arizona and possibly Southern California?
We do a fair amount of travel. Even before we retired, blessed that my wife retired at the same time I did, also from the Forest Service.
Nice.
We got to retire fairly young. I mean, we're not necessarily young, but we're younger than most corporate America folks get to retire, and that was a plus. And even before we retired, we had an RV before we built this Overlander and I'm not talking about the ZR2, it's that other, the 1 ton. We would hook up the little truck. And since we've had it, of course, prior trucks, even before that, we would just tow behind the RV and go explore across the country. And we still do that. And now that we built this Overlander a couple of years ago, we're doing quite a bit more, whether it's central Utah or up to Colorado. And I'd say the last 4 or 5 years, we've done an annual trip, maybe, I guess, two annual trips. We've gone east. We have family in Michigan, and then we did a little family vacation with kids and grandkids to Florida. So we've driven all the way to Florida and back a few times over the years. And then the other trip we do on an annual basis, we'll go up to the Northwest, Oregon, Washington, and then visiting friends and family through Montana. And so that's our next trip. This year, we're going to actually go through Central California. Got friends in Reno, and then we're going to check out Yosemite, which we haven't done in a long time.
Oh, nice.
Northern Cal up through Oregon, Washington, and into Montana coming up here. And eventually, we're going to head to Michigan late August. I know one of your prior guests was Bethany, ZR2 girl. So,
oh, yeah.
She and I are friends, and we've done a ride together in Moab a few years ago. And so we're trying to work it out. I don't know if it's going to work for her work schedule, but, she has posted a few cool things, including a YouTube video on Silver Lake sand dunes out there in Michigan. And so that's, we're headed after Montana. We're going to scoot straight across the country and land in Michigan. And if we can connect with her, we plan to, but that's the goal.
Nice. No, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I remember, I think, isn't that where her new Colorado got injured again?
I don't think it was at the dunes. I think it might have just been part of her daily commute. She lives there in somewhere in Michigan. And I think the most recent ding from a deer was, I think, just on a commute. She posted a really neat video that actually was quite helpful in learning about the dunes. So folks, give her a free plug. Check out her YouTube channel, and her most recent post on the Silver Lake sand dunes was good.
Oh yeah, I think she's posted quite a good a couple of videos on there Not just like the Dune, but also I think like when she did some work on the Colorado.
Oh yeah, yep. She's done a lot of
So
how-to
she,
stuff too.
yep, she has a couple of those videos for sure.
Yep. Yeah. Well, gosh, I could tell you about a lot of other mods, but wherever you want to go with this, very happy with my
Oh,
truck.
I mean, I'm assuming you are happy with your truck.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. It's been my favorite truck in I don't know how many years and how many trucks I've had. Every once in a while, you'll see folks post stuff on Instagram like, "How many trucks have you had?" and post your pictures. But I haven't participated, but I've probably had a half a dozen or more trucks in my life as a driver, and the ZR2 has been my favorite. It's been the most fun to build. I think it's one of the most capable platforms to do, whether you're overlanding or just four wheeling. I certainly didn't build it to be one of these long travel rock crawlers like some of the Jeep guys do, but
Oh yeah.
I'm very happy with where I can go, and I can go in a lot of places that folks with a stock truck can't.
Oh yeah, no, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, the other thing
I mean,
I'll say, Stephen, I was going to say the other thing that has made this a favorite has been the community. I have really, really enjoyed meeting folks, both first, through social media, and then getting together for events like the very first Calico run and the GM special. I've met a lot of folks here in Arizona, and of course, Manny Silverback,
Yep.
he came out to Arizona in January, and we put some folks together. That I attribute that to this truck. I know there's 1,000 Toyota groups out there, and there's thousands of Jeep groups out there, but I've really enjoyed the Chevy Colorado community, or the GM community.
Oh, I agree with you there. I mean, when I first got into the whole truck scene, all I ever saw was Toyota this, Toyota that, Jeep here, Jeep there, and Subarus. I was like, what? Subarus? But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, as long as it gets you from point A to B and out there to have some fun, it's always a good thing. So I ended up, I ended up connecting with a group called SoCal Rigs originally, and I'm still with them.
Yeah.
And we were predominantly all Chevys and like almost all Colorados. We had maybe one or two Silverados and a Ford. But now it's grown. We have pretty much everything. The whole group has we have Toyotas, Jeeps, everything. And it's nothing nothing bad about it. But what's nice is the fact that the between Alfred, Manny, I believe the guys from Colorados as well, they created the GN special.
Yep.
And which is more tailored and try to get people connected towards with just the Chevy brand in itself, the GMC brand, and just go out and meet other Chevy and GMC drivers. And actually, the Calico run, the second run, was actually my first one. I ended up missing the one last year,
Yeah.
or for the first annual run. Just I couldn't get time off from work to do it. So now and then this year, I made sure to take time off for it. Especially because I got to meet a couple of guys. I believe I met was Knight Rider. He's also from Arizona.
Oh yeah, David. Yep.
Yep, David. I got to meet up with him and a couple even Miss Max Rado from Washington.
Yep.
We actually were drinking on, I think it was the first night, and we just recorded our podcast out there just for the hell of it.
Yep, I remember that. I saw it. Or listened to it. Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. But my biggest thing I always like to see where like everybody is what are some of their next big adventures, or what's some of your guys' final I want to say your dream camping, getting away in your truck location, go camp out or disappear to for a week or two or longer.
That's a good question. If you're not asking me, I'd like to answer it anyway.
Oh yeah, no, go for it.
I know I already shared some of these cross country or multiple week drives we like to do with the Overlander, but I like your question because I definitely have a favorite place in the country, or favorite area, I guess. And mine would be the southern Utah and what we call the Arizona Strip, northern Arizona, but right up at the border of Utah. So that,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of folks are probably familiar. Obviously, Moab is included in that. Capitol Reef area. There's a cool place in central southern Utah called the San Rafael Swell, and then all the way down to like the north end of Lake Powell. I've enjoyed that country as a kid, traveling and camping out there and fishing Lake Powell. And and we've done a little bit of four-wheeling and camping out there and some group runs. But yeah, if I were to pick a spot that I'd like to disappear for a couple weeks and just explore again, it's that country. Bears Ears, Canyonlands, Moab, and then north of Lake Powell, all the way over to the country near St. George, Utah. There's just so much great country over there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have spots in Arizona that I've been wanting to visit myself personally, and I do believe I was waiting for David, Night Rider, to I guess he said I guess there were some plans on doing something out there, and I'm hoping to when he does post it, I'm hoping to make sure I make it out there for at least whether it's a trail ride or like a camp trip. I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'll be available for any of those. Me personally, my spot that I truly want to go check out, and I might not do it with the Silverado. I have plans on acquiring a Chevy Blazer next year
Nice.
for that's gonna be 4x4, and it's gonna be my version of a Forerunner or what um, for Ford Bronco or whatever, that's kind of fully enclosed. That's gonna be my vehicle that I want to do. That's gonna take me to Alaska and back.
Fantastic. Is it an older model Blazer, like one of the
I'm
original
looking
styles?
in the 90s,
Yeah.
early 90s.
Yep.
Definitely one of those.
Yeah.
And I basically I'm more of a simple minimalistic person. I mean, like when I go camping in my truck, I literally right now it looks bona fide stock, but I sleep just like in the passenger seat, and I knock on. That's how I sleep when I camp.
Uh,
I'm gonna obviously with the Blazer, I'm not gonna have the seats in the back. I'm not gonna need it because I solo drive. So I'm gonna kind of build out a decent platform, just chill and sleep in there, and have cooking equipment. Just the basics, and don't need anything too crazy.
yeah.
Not yet, at least.
That sounds great, man. And sometimes simple's the best. It just it gives you time to enjoy the drive and the scenery and the destination, and not worry about all the extra stuff we put on our trucks.
Oh yeah, like I said, one of my big honestly, I think on a Silverado eventually I will probably put like a rooftop tent. I go like I tell everybody I've kind of started feeling it. Ground tents they're fun. They're annoying to set up sometimes if you don't have the instance, but then just getting up off the ground.
Sure.
Yeah, that's always the fun part.
Yep, for sure. Well, it's interesting. My wife and I made a very deliberate decision, through retirement and going towards this Overlander we built on the 1-ton pickup frame. Was very deliberate. I made a career of sleeping in the dirt. Sometimes really no tent. There was just no time or no energy. We often would drop a bag wherever we could. Fighting fire. And so even when my kids were young and if fire season would come to an end, it's like, hey, let's go camping. And my preference is like, well, can't we go somewhere that has a hotel? I've been camping all summer. But we still love camping. But it's like, well, if I don't have to climb in or set up a tent and I can just open the door to an Overlander, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh yeah. And I've done that too. I would just get a sleeping bag. I throw a tarp on the floor and I get a sleeping bag and I just knock out there if I'm driving for like 10 hours, 12 hours, and I'm like, you know what? I'm here. I'm not gonna set up a tent. I'm just gonna either lay down in the bed of my truck or on the ground.
Yep. Well, I made a career of doing that a lot of summers. As I moved up into some of the management teams, I'd have the luxury of sleeping under my truck or in the back of. Speaking of Blazers, I had a Tahoe for a lot of years in the Forest Service. I'd sleep in the back of a Tahoe, I didn't. No qualms in trying to be comfortable now when we're vacationing and exploring.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see. So do you have all right, so with the Colorado, are you pretty much done, or do you have other things that you're interested in putting on the Colorado?
So, in asking other people, has anybody ever said that they were done? I'm just curious.
Not that I've recorded yet. I do have one guy who said he pretty much built up his entire rig, and I'm like, really? I'm like, you're the first who's ever told me that.
Yeah.
And this was just in us having a conversation. I'm all like, let me see what your answer is in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously I'm kind of being a smartass there. I am not done. And it's kind of fun to talk with other people, and we all tease each other that we're never really done. So I have plans from little small things to maybe some major things down the road, but most immediately on my list of things to do, I need to kind of spruce up the skid plate situation underneath the truck. Folks may have seen I was out wheeling with Anthony Z71 702 there. I think he's on your hit list to get on your show.
Yes,
He and his wife Lisa, they've been out a few times to go wheeling with us out here in Arizona. And one of those trips last year, we've both posted. I kind of augured into a steep embankment into a creek, and was fortunate to kind of land mostly on my frame rails, but narrowly missed landing on the transfer case. And so I've got work to do there. My clearance is pretty good, but I don't have a skid there for the transfer. So that's on the list. I want to get the steel drive shaft one of these days, although I've had no issues with that big aluminum shaft. I need to do something. I think I'm kind of tempting fate with I've got my factory brake lines pretty much extended as far as they'll go with the travel. And I have limiting straps front and rear. So I likely will never yank my brake lines, but that's on the list, is to just gain myself a little extra margin of safety there with extended brake lines. I'd like to, at some point, I'll probably have to redo rear leaf springs. Right now, what I was able to do a few years ago, not long after lifting the truck, is I kept the factory leafs. I tried an add a leaf, and it just wasn't enough for the load.
I've heard that from a lot of people. The add a leaf is just kind of pointless.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to stay stock fairly empty, I would warn folks, even if you're just doing a rooftop tent and a few camping essentials in the bed of your truck, I still think that the factory suspension really wasn't made for too much overload or too much extra cargo. So from my experience, the add a leaf just wasn't. It didn't do anything, frankly, because I have several 100 pounds of stuff in the back. So I took the factory springs to an old spring shop in Phoenix, Arizona, and we did a couple of things. First of all, they re-arched the leaf pack, and then they added a leaf that matched the arch. And then they put in an overload spring that's probably 1.5 times the thickness of the factory overload. So they almost look Deaver-like, and a lot of folks are putting Deaver springs in there. But I've got 120,000 miles on those springs that are mostly still factory. They've been re-arched. So in the future, that may be something that just needs to be replaced. And then there's a laundry list of a lot of little things here and there that I want to do. But I think I've done the bulk of it, from suspension to drivetrain gearing performance. I'm feeling pretty good. The rest will all be just kind of catch up to some of the safety margin stuff and a few want-to-dos instead of have-to-dos.
Nice. Yeah. As I was speaking of all that stuff, I think one of my major ones way later down the line, when the engine finally gives way, is swapping that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was something I was thinking about myself personally. I'm like, I wouldn't mind throwing a big block Chevy, old school, just straight mechanical motor in there.
Sure.
Versus all the technological advances that we got with all this new modern day stuff.
Oh yeah. It's something I'm always leery of, especially when you do any kind of tuning. Whether you're gas engine or diesel, I think anytime you're tuning, you're might be tempting a little fate of whether or not the electric control modules are going to be talking right to the rest of the parts and the
Oh
programming
yeah.
matches. It's like,
Yep, that's where the whole thing gets at. It's like when I looked at that, I was like, just to redo pretty much gut and redo everything
yeah,
to kind of be like old school mechanical style was just. I know it's a big budget, but who knows? Might be something I might do later on, or I always do my best to make sure I maintain my particular vehicle as much as possible. After every trail run, make sure inspect it, check everything. I do get a little bit lazy with the washing of the truck, but
yeah,
other than that, I mean, I got to make sure it's not leaking anywhere or anything like that.
yeah. Yep, I get it. Yeah, I'm not. I don't wash mine too often. I guess I wash it when there's a purpose, or if I know I've muddied or dirtied the underside. I like to keep, especially the shocks and the shafts and everything clean of debris and keep the seals good. But
Yeah,
cosmetically, I'm not an avid washer. It's a lot of work.
it is. I believe Manny is very good. I think of when it comes time to it, he does a very good detailing job of his own brake for sure.
That's good. I mean, he's always looking sharp. That rig is.
Oh yeah,
That's what a neat rig
and
he's done with that first gen. I love it.
oh yeah, he did a hell of a job, and he's still got some more to go with it.
Sure, sure.
Now for the Chevy 110, just out of curiosity, that's a straight up just pure overland. Like, is it a camper shell on it, or is it like the bed of the truck with a hard shell?
So it's kind of unique, and we're really enjoying it and kind of proud of it. It's a 1 ton 4 door. I bought a 2022 1 ton. Ordered it because I wanted a
Okay.
specific color and I wanted some. I got the heaviest suspension you could get on a single wheel rear axle. I didn't do a dually. So I wanted all that stuff from the factory. Then, of course, I lifted it, and then I took it to a company called Ross Monster in Colorado, and they've been in the business for, gosh, I think so 2010. They started in the conversion van, overlander van, vans with lift kits, and
Nice. Yeah.
they'd gut them and put neat cabinetry and bedding and stuff in them. That's how they got their start. And about 4 years ago, they experimented on a Ford. What is the 150? Is that the half ton, the Ford 150?
Yeah, the F-150.
Yeah, they started there, and they built a fiberglass box that has an articulating top, 4 electric posts that articulate and raise the top for camping and lowers it for driving. It's kind
Oh
of
wow.
unique. It's got a really exaggerated departure angle on the rear. It's kind of boxy, but it's still kind of sleek looking. Anyway, we removed the bed, and then this box gets bolted and mounted to the frame. They cut a pass through. So I took a brand new truck and we cut up the rear seat and cut a hole in the back and removed the window. That was a little unnerving, but definitely worth it in hindsight. So we have a cool pass through to where, whether the way we, of course, boys are adults now, and they don't really travel with us. So our kids now are 2 Labrador retrievers. And so we kind of built this truck with them in mind. We kept the rear seats, even though, we had to cut it and split them to keep this opening. We could have removed them, but we kept them in case, grandkids are traveling with us or something. But for now, the seats sit up, and we built a box across the floor, kind of like there's a company out there called Goose Gear, and they do like these rear seat deletes. A lot of people are doing rear seat delete things. We kept our seats, but we have a custom homemade box on the bottom for all the tools.
Nice.
And then we throw the dog beds on there, and the 2 big labs, they ride in the back seat floorboard, which now is, of course, elevated on this custom box. And that's where they camp with us. So when we're camped, it's a cab over. So the bed is up above the cab when the roof is open. And
Okay.
the
Nice.
dogs have full access with an opening. We just roll up this opening partition. And so they get the heat if we need to heat the camper or cool it. And they can come and go as they please, but they travel in the back seat. They camp out in the back seat. And then the inside, fridge, a conduction stove, a little mini microwave, a little mini TV. We're totally off grid if need be. It runs it's 600 amp hours of battery plus 500 watts of solar. Of course, I can plug it in anywhere if need be off of shore power.
Oh yeah,
And then the
that's pretty
dual
cool.
batteries and the the dual batteries have nothing to do with it in the truck, but the alternators, I have dual alternators.
Oh nice.
That charges the whole system as we drive anywhere we're driving.
Yeah.
And one of the cool little features is the heater in this thing runs off the diesel tank on the rig, and I put an aftermarket. I have a 60-gallon diesel tank on this rig, so we can go a long way. We use Gas Buddy, and if we don't like fuel prices in Arkansas, we'll keep going.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
It's actually funny. Is I would love to get me a larger tank for my truck.
yeah.
Because 26 gallons is cool and all, but I mean, I want to stop less
Yep.
and keep driving more.
Well, I did. There's probably other companies out there, but the one I went with was Titan fuel tanks, and they
Okay.
pretty much make. They have a pretty wide selection of all sorts of later and newer model vehicle. I think mainly trucks, but look into Titan fuel tanks.
Got it.
That's
Definitely.
what I use, and I've had even on a newer vehicle where it's back to our talk about electronics and all the mystery stuff with these computerized
Yep.
vehicles.
Yeah.
That was an interesting modification because the digital fuel gauge on the dashboard will not. It's been calibrated by computer, knowing it was a 30-gallon, whatever the factory tank was.
Yeah.
And it never relearned, and I don't think it ever intended. The analog gauge on the dashboard, the little dial, it did. It took maybe 3 full tanks. The guys at Titan told me it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 full tanks for your analog gauge to relearn and give you the appropriate readout. So make sure you're monitoring how many gallons you put in and how far you've driven. And after a few months of travel, I don't even pay attention anymore. My analog gauge reads correctly, and I just noted nearly double whatever the digital readout is. A lot of the modern trucks will tell you how long you can go on your fuel tank. Another 280 miles. I can double that or whatever as a rule of thumb. But it was a great mod. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I definitely love just the idea of it doubling the amount of miles you can just travel.
Yeah, and frankly, with the fuel prices today, that was one of the reasons I did it. I wasn't really joking when I said when we've traveled across country, and let's say we're in Oklahoma and it's 30 cents more a gallon, but we can look ahead on say Gas Buddy or something, and you see it's 30 cents less in Arkansas. Well, we can keep going to Arkansas to buy gas.
So. Well, for me, it's as soon as I get the hell out of California, I'm excited because gas plummets.
Yes, I am very sympathetic. I get to see what other people post in California. And it's, I get mad here, but then I have to remind myself it could be worse.
It could be California.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, and I get it sucks, but I mean, it is what it is. We all love this. Those of us that live here, we love this state and everything. It's got a lot of beautiful things. Just there are a lot of things that are wrong with it. Just that's away from the nature stuff and the stuff that we enjoy doing. So right. I'd never keep those together.
It's easy to put it aside, as we should. It's don't let it ruin the stuff you have passion about.
Yeah. All right. Well, Pete, thank you very much for coming out on the podcast today. It definitely was a blast talking to you about both of your particular vehicles that you have.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure, my honor. I appreciate the invite. I'm sorry about the little snafu when we first started and losing the connection on the phone.
Oh, no worries. It happens. It's happened before, and it's just it just comes with it being that we're doing it off of a platform system and all that. Eventually, once I get this going a lot further and I put a little bit more time and energy and of course funding into it, I'm gonna have like a whole pretty good setup where and my biggest thing is being able to actually travel to meet a lot of people. That's my goal for next year. Is I would love to do a lot of face to face, and eventually I'll even record like live YouTube videos as well for the podcast.
Yeah, fantastic. So you had mentioned wanting to come to Arizona, and I'm still trying to work out some details with the local four-wheel drive shop here, but I'm coming down to crunch time to at least make a public announcement of trying to do something in October. So I'll say it here. I'm going to try like heck to do something in October of 2024. I'm looking at the weekend of Friday the 25th, Saturday the 26th, and 27th of October. So the weekend before Halloween. I'm going to try to do something in the Prescott area, and maybe involving. I've batting around a few ideas, but right now I've been stringing along the guys at GM Special. I owe them a date. And then there's a group of folks, Southwest group of Colorado and GMC Canyon group, and yeah, even friendly. We talked about the community and the GM community, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to. I don't really care what vehicle people are driving. I've had nothing but really positive experiences in the four-wheel drive and overland community, and have connected with a lot of Toyota groups and Jeep groups, and so we're going to look to get a lot of mix of folks. And the whole idea would be a benefit or a charity event for the Wildland Firefighter Foundation.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if that dropped out when I lost connection, but that's been one of my biggest motivations with this build on the ZR2 and all the purple stuff that is on it. It's all been about raising awareness of who these men and women are, and awareness of the foundation that supports them when there's been a tragedy. So I'd like to close by thanking everybody in the last couple of years who have been very supportive in helping me spread the word and asking good questions and coming to other events. So, and thank you for that opportunity and getting it on your podcast.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, we got plenty of time. We got a lot of stuff that can be done, and definitely be something I can definitely bring up as well on other occasions. But I can't wait to actually hear. And I know I got some. Let me see. Don't think I have anything planned for October just yet, so I'll definitely keep my books open just to kind of get an idea of what the dates are going to be. And once you come out with everything, I'm definitely going to make sure I take some time off and get ready to go out there. And like I said, Arizona's been on my list to go check out multiple locations.
Fantastic. Well, anytime, brother, you want to come on out that fits your schedule. It doesn't have to be a planned event. Just like Manny came out
Nice.
and we grabbed. There's a bunch of local folks I can get a hold of that would love to come out. So, you just let me know anytime you want to come on out. We'll take you places that you'll like.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks again, Pete, for taking time out of your busy schedule as well. And I can't wait to actually hang out and see you again.
All right, Stephen. It'll be a pleasure to meet face to face. And again, thank you for the opportunity to get on here and just have a good chat.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You take care. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.